Upon us here. Looks like both teams just sat down and are good to go. Welcome back here. What is game number 2 here in this best out of 3, of course, between ORGE Esports Malaysia and Pikachu. Game number 2, ORGE Esports down 1-0 as a result of that first game there. And again, we were giving a little bit of slack there to Shu Yu playing Wild Soul, as we were talking about. Now, this is something that maybe we did forget a little bit about. He did mention earlier that he wasn't able to see his bear earlier in the game. Of course, that's why that pause happened. It seems like later on that was fixed and he was good. I know that you actually even messaged him real quick just to make sure, and he apparently said he could see it now. So
yeah, they had problems in the mid game right there. No surprise as they were mentioning it. And then I actually whispered him right after. It was about a minute after they resummoned Boo Boo after killing Kong, where they said he still couldn't see him. But then he was starting to farm the ancient creeps actually, and I whispered to him, I said, can you see him now finally? Yeah. And he goes, yes. So he did confirm that he could actually see the bear. It is unfortunate that, though, for a little bit of time that he couldn't, but I don't think it made the biggest difference at the end, because that's when we actually really saw him put the items on him. So it wasn't the fact that he couldn't see him, because he could actually see him, as I did confirm that from him via whisper. So
that's obviously a good point to bring up, because I did notice in chat, people were mentioning that obviously with the 6-minute delay. We're looking back and like, well, that's a fair point. But as you were saying, according to him at least, he could see the bear, and so that was more so just his decision flat out to put the items on himself and still make that decision. For whatever the reason, though, again, Pikachu very deserving of the win. They're now up 1-0 here in this best out of 3, and Game 2 has actually started. So, Tralfamador, let's go ahead and do this.
All right.
Let's jump into the game and see what's happening. ORGE Esports, of course, there on the Legion side. We got Pikachu here on the Hellborn team. So, picking phase, again, where it starts. Now, Pikachu, man, they dig at such a strong lineup. When you think about it as well, they got not only the Tundra pick, but they happen to get Silhouette on top of that. So, overall, yeah, very, very strong lineup on their side. We'll see whether or not things are a little bit different this time around. We got the blind bands taking place. A couple of interesting ones. Well, one, really, Jerizai and Pharaoh, blind band by ORGE Esports. Then you got Silhouette and Tundra by Pikachu, but Pharaoh throwing in there. Is maybe because of Tempest, perhaps? I mean, what's the deal?
Well, I think that's just Orange doing the research. I mean, we've seen a number of games now where Book has played in this tournament and played a very, very strong Pharaoh, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, even though it's a hero that not necessarily needs that blind ban right away, it's just a comfort hero, and I think that's really important for teams to recognize. And like, say there's a team that really plays a fantastic, I don't know, blacksmith or something. Or actually, remember way back when Yoda used to be really popular and playing a Moon Queen all the time, and maybe Moon Queen's not the strongest hero, but some players play very, very well in certain heroes, and it's a very good strategy to ban those comfort heroes. And I think Pharaoh is one of those comfort heroes for Buch and the whole PIKA team. So not too surprised there. Jerizai ban coming out also. Silhouette and Tundra ban from Hellborn, no surprise there. As far as the locks go, we got Polywog Priest coming out, Glacius Forsaken Archer, Luna Magnus from Orange, and then finish off with an Andromeda from Team PIKA. And then right into the ban phase, we got Plague Rider, Tempest coming out, Flux yet again from ORGE Esports, and Ophelia now they're banned from PIKA. So kind of a little bit of the same thing, a very, very strong lock pull there, but a couple things to note. Polywog Priest first lock there from ORGE Esports. I would not be surprised to see them pick that up first in the lockpick phase. And then also, yet again, the Flux ban by Orange. Now, I did mention that last time, but that they really don't want to play against that Flux, it seems like.
I don't know if maybe they did a little bit of research and Pikachu has just happened to run it a couple times and it's done well for them, or maybe it's just their experience. They just don't want to play him. But now I will say, what do you think about this? Because it's clearly the case. By the way, wow, Wild Soul first pick. So Shu Yu, we had some questionable decisions last game. Maybe he's going to come into this game saying, you know what? I want to make up for those and do much better this time around. So that is pretty awesome to see them nonetheless. But what I was going to say, you talked about Polywog Priest being the first lock, and they value him very, very high, of course. What do you think about them valuing Polywog Priest more higher than, say, a Pebbles, though?
I think it's fine. I think Wild Soul really works well in the fact that they did first pick Wild Soul. By the way, I have no problem with that. I think Wild Soul is so powerful, so good. And Shuya, we gave him a little flat for kind of choosing to put the items on him. But in the early game, he played really, really well. I mean, he did very well in his lane. He actually got the kill on Olek in the beginning. So he did really well there. But Wild Soul, like I did want to mention, he did not synergize quite well with Wretched Hag that last game. I think there's better heroes to be synergized with Wild Soul, and Polywog is definitely one of those heroes. So I think, yeah, the route of having Polywog in that lock is over Pebbles in this instance. If they did decide before going into the match that they want to pick Wild Soul, is a much smarter decision. Now, as far as the picks going on the PIKA side, Meraxis and DreamHoN, very strong in that regard. I've said time and time again, I mean, Demented Shaman is still a very strong hero, but when you pick him up with a Meraxis right now, that tells me he's probably going to be playing in that support role. And while that's okay, that's all I'm going to label it as. It's okay. It's nothing spectacular because, you know, as you mentioned, it's not like a Glacius or an Andromeda or an Luna where you can roam from lane to lane and be like, oh, you need help in the mid lane? Let me come help you with my heal that spams and pushes the wave. It's not like, oh, let me help you with a stun or something. So Demented Shaman he's very stuck to his lane in that regard. Now a Hammerstorm and Engineer coming out on Legion. I didn't expect, especially I didn't expect the Engineer, but I do know that Southeast Asian teams love to pick Hammerstorm, but does it really synergize well with the Wild Soul? It kind of can, actually, because that ultimate does a lot of damage from Hammerstorm as far as pushing towers goes. So I like it here.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. And Parasite going to be the final pickup, though, from Pikachu. So aggression, the name of the game there with a hero like that, of course. But you talked about Demented Shaman. I mean, you could argue that obviously Nymphora on the board. They could have gone with an Nymphora support over that Demented Shaman, as if she is indeed going to be played as a support. Now, with that said, there's Glacius, Aluna, Andromeda here. I mean, Magnus as a secondary support. So there's a lot of options when it comes to that role with this lock pool. Of course, Polywog Priest taken right off the bat here from ORGE Sports, but now Pikachu has a lot of choices, to say the least. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised still if they go something like a Forsaken Glacius here, instead go with a Glacius Forsaken, or even like a Magnus Forsaken, and have Demented Shaman and Meraxis solo, and then go with Magnus Forsaken lane, and then of course Parasite in the jungle. So we'll see. It still is somewhat possible that they could go with Demented Shaman, more of a solo role, as there's a Forsaken pick. And now going to finish off with, well, we'll see. It is going to be the Glacius. So yeah. So it's very likely now, pretty much going to be a solo Demented Shaman here,
or solo Glacius.
How dare I say?
It's actually quite strong.
That's not going to happen. Let's be honest, Jeff.
Oh, come on.
Let's not get too crazy here.
Come on, Book. I know you want to do it. No, but yeah, awesome. I love that. Demented Shaman solo is so friggin' strong. I would not be surprised to see an Andrew here. I mean, it synergizes perfectly with the Legion team. I really like Andrew as a support in that sense, where you can push very well with your team and maxing that Aurora, maxing that Aura ability. I still actually, even in a pushing team, I love to max a Comet because the burst damage that comes out from it is so very high. In fact, it's, let me look here, it's 325 magic damage, okay, guys? That's a lot of damage coming out from a single target nuke. So I really don't feel any reason to not max it. I know you're trying to go for but the Aurora, you know, it's really good with push, but no, I mean, still maxing.
Well, I think a lot of it is along the lines as Aluna's the final pick there, actually, instead from ORGE Sports, but it's a static duration. And, you know, you get it's a magical level 1 of 1.75 seconds.
Yeah,
and that's mainly people are mainly concerned about it. But you are right. I mean, 325 magic damage. There's a lot of burst coming out, of course, with the magic or I guess Comet, but not going to be chosen. So. Instead, it is a Luna, and I don't think it can be too taken back by that by any means.
Right.
Over the Andromeda, of course. But both teams good to go now. I mean, I'm looking over there at ORGE Sports once again, and they went with the Engineer pick instead of Pikachu. So that is the one interesting thing. But, yeah, expect to see a solo Demented Shaman. So that's pretty cool here. And once again, we do see the Wild Soul, but how about this? Not going to be played by Shuyu this time around. Instead, it's going to be played by XXF. So... yeah, ORGE Sports changing it up a little bit with a different player hero role. Of course, Shuyu actually playing the Aluna this time around, and Aluna currently heading top. It looks like going to be with Hammerstorm. Of course, Hammerstorm going to be the focus of farm there. And perhaps Engineer may even join them, actually. I wouldn't be surprised about that to see that Tri-Lane coming out. So,
yeah, they have a lot of stuns on this Legion team. I was actually going to say that I think they should have picked up Forsaken Archer, but, you know, obviously he was taken up by the Hellborn team. But I think this lineup is still strong. The only problem with this lineup, well, they are actually going to go for carry Hammerstorm. So I was going to say all their eggs are kind of in the Wild Soul basket, but that's not necessarily true with the carry Hammerstorm. So their team synergizes very well. As far as the Aluna pickup there, it's a very safe pickup. I mean, she can run anywhere. I mean, she's so versatile. That's why people love her in this metagame right now. But I think Andromeda actually would have been suited them a little bit better. She has that roaming potential. She has a very, her spells synergize very well with push lineups. So I would have rather seen Andromeda, but, nothing wrong with Aluna. Like I said, she's a very safe hero in that regard. But all four heroes, well, four of the heroes of the 5 on the Hellborn side are marching down here to get some warding on, it looks like. No one coming out from the bottom. Wild Soul being played, as you mentioned, by XSF and not Shuyu here. Not the biggest deal in the world. I know XSF is kind of more their carry player. And Shuyu, I actually see him play more of the support role. That's why I was actually surprised in the beginning to see him play Wild Soul. But Shuyu, they're all fantastic players. Shuyu, or XSF scouting out with his bear. He actually has not seen them yet, I don't think. But the ward does come out from TPS Price that's there to block that pole camp. Not the biggest deal in the world for the Legion side, as it is a solo down here, so it's not like he's going to be doing much pulling anyway. He actually is setting up his bear to do some pulling, and maybe they expect that kind of aggressive tri-lane coming out, as they should. I mean, they do have a Parasite Glacius and all the heroes over there on the Hellborn side. So a very smart move. If he can actually get this pull all the way from the Hellborn side, bring it back to him safely behind the tower, or wherever he decides to, for that matter, he's going to be in a good position. Actually, Glacius comes out, notices the bear, so XSF is actually going to march away with that bear. So that's a little bit unfortunate. So he's going to have a hard time in this bottom lane, but look at the other lanes. Plywog mid, pretty standard. Engineer, it looks like they might be dual laning mid here. And then with the dual lane top, Aluna, Hammerstorm. So, yeah, interesting things here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was expecting maybe a tri-lane top, but again, especially with it just being a solo Demented Shaman up here, really doesn't make too much sense to keep the tri-lane committed by any means. So, Engineer is now heading actually to the top lane, but very likely may just end up adjusting anyways, or maybe it will be a Luna instead, but one of the two you got to figure are going to move here, actually, as again, there really is just no point to keep them both up here. So now PIKA, on the other hand, playing this Demented Shaman, so it is good that we see a solo Demented Shaman like you were saying, at least. It's definitely more beneficial to see it, again, in your opinion, but to say the least, might not have the greatest time up here against this Hammerstorm, so going to be struggling quite a bit. As Aluna and Engineer, though, they actually are doing a roam here early on. Going to set up a gank attempt here in the middle lane, so we'll see if they can perhaps get something on Forsaken Archers. A Wild Hunter coming in the middle lane on Apollo by Piercing Arrow, or Crippling Volley, will hit. Out comes Parasite, of course. No leech just yet, still level 1. Having to go with the Infest. So Polywalk Priest will by all means be fine now. Forsaken Archer, she's the one that needs to be a little bit careful here. Aluna does not have her Emerald Lightning, of course, going the power throw. Keg and Stun will need to be landed here by Engineer if they want to get a successful Bloodlust kill. But you see the positioning by Forsaken Archer being played by Tankafed, just making it way too difficult. So I don't know if this is actually going to be able to happen here.
Yeah, and that's why I actually would have rather seen the Andromeda. She has much more roaming potential, and even if Aluna did for some reason decide to go Emerald Lightning first, it's a very, very short stun, and it's hard to combo things. You can actually easily miss a follow-up Keg stun with that short stun. So right there you see a small effect. I mean, the lane was pushed up regardless, but they did have a small window of time actually when Polywog was kind of going toe-to-toe there with Parasite close to his own tower. And if that was an Andromeda, I feel like they would have got a very, very easy kill there on a Forsaken Archer.
Yeah. Well, of course, again, it is an Aluna, and unfortunately for them, not able to get anything set up on a Tankafed, so back to the laning phase we go, and look at this, Aluna and Engineer roaming all the way now even to the bottom lane, so very early adjustments being made, or I guess not even adjustments, just a lot of movement going on here from ORGE Esports, specifically those support. They need to get here in time because Wild Soul in a lot of trouble. Wild Soul will fall right there, as Glacius and Meraxis are enough, but you add Parasite on top of that. Easily able to take him out. Again, Parasite, so kind of a pseudo tri-lane being ran down here. And you see even a pause coming out from ORGE Esports. Now they are going to try to catch somebody. Glacius does land a Keg stun, although it pushes Glacius forward here. So he should be fine, as Hammerstorm also did eventually pour bottom. So it's a complete tri-lane setup, actually, is what it came down to from ORGE.
Yeah, I think they're just going to do a complete switcheroo there. Wild Soul's going to go top as soon as he respawns. And yeah, he does TP up there. So he's going to fare well against this Demented Shaman, I would imagine. But, they did get the Bloodlust kill on the Hellborn side, and it was on Wild Soul there. So very, very good boost there for Gordob playing that Parasite. And it's going to be really, really good for him. It's always nice to have that early Ring of Sorcerer and Parasite run around and give some mana to your teammates, as well as have that large mana, or base mana pool. Let's look at some of the CS scores that are happening here. In the mid lane, we got Polywog is 11-2, Forsaken Archer is 13-6, so it's quite even there, actually, in the mid lane. roaming around, coming on both sides there for each hero.
Yeah.
But Hammerstorm's having a good game. He did move to the bottom. He's now 17-8. And Miraxis there, even though they had that bloodless kill in Wild Soul, he's actually only 7-2. Whereas Wild Soul is 5-3, and he is in the top lane. He's actually going to do quite well. He's pulling some creeps there to make things just a little bit harder on the Menace Shaman here for the next wave. And you're going to see, actually, he's going to have to play this smartly or keep his distance from the creeps. But it's going to be kind of awkward there. He's going to miss that last hit on the Archer because he's taking so much. It's just awkward, you see. He could do it, but he's going to be taking damage. He does have a health potion, not the biggest in the world, but it's just awkward. He misses the creep right there, and actually the heal does not come in time. So right there, you see he's missing creeps all over the place. And that's the power and the good strategy there coming with Wild Soul pulling the creep wave.
Yeah. He does get the catapult at least, so a good bonus gold there even. But yeah, very, very effective there from XXF. Meanwhile, middle of the lane, Polywog Priest will go down as yet another Wild Hunter from Parasite. Then this is a great thing about Wild Hunter camps. Obviously, there's always going to be two that spawn. So you go in with the first one, you have the invisibility, you come out, get a kill as he does in this case, you go back to the camp, you get another Wild Hunter like he does right here, and he's going to use it once again. Will he use it to just farm or maybe set up a gank? He's going back to the middle lane, so he's very likely going to wait for Polywog Priest to come back in and then look to set up yet another gank. We also have an invisible Glacius here. You got to feel for Polywog Priest right now. Handle Baby is in a lot of trouble if he pushes up any bit right here. You see the Wild Hunter, only about 5 more seconds left on that Windwalk. Don't think he's going to really be able to do too much right here, as he may try to sneak from high a little bit. Meanwhile, at the top lane, though, Wild's in a lot of trouble. In comes Moraxis, actually, with the assistance of the Demented Shaman, and they get the kill at the top lane. So being occupied by the middle lane there, possible gank. Ends up happening to kill at the top lane as Moraxis has adjusted up here. Even getting a kill out of it, though.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the piercing arrows is where the Cobra Volley hits, and actually, Polywog, he's bottling up. He might actually live. No, the skeletons are able to take him out from the Forsaken Archer. So, wow, some really good roaming actually coming out from Hellborn's side. And actually, Parasite is pursuing this engineer. He gets the stun off on him, and he will die yet again. So the serial killer coming out as well as a double tap for Tankafet. And actually, we're starting out this game with a 0-5 score in favor of Team PIKA. And Aluna's trying to pursue this Parasite, but he's definitely not going to get him. And actually getting him kind of low there, taking some creeps there. It's going to be close, actually. I don't know if he wants to pursue him, though. He does use it! Hits him. He gets him down to 30 HP, but obviously not enough. So Gordob there, going to march on back home. Let's see, we'll be safe there, but kind of flirts with death a little bit. Lots of roaming coming out from the Hellborn team, and it's working out for their favor. A lot of lane swaps going on both teams. Now, Book down here with the Solo Diminished Shaman is going to get some farm down in the bottom lane. His farm is actually now 16-2. Started off against that tri lane, but Hammerstorm, he's got a 35 and 16 creep score. Looking pretty good for him, but they are at an overall deficit. 3K gold, 2,400 or 2,300, excuse me, in experience deficit there for the Legion team. But I really think that they will start to shine once they get that level 6 on Polywog. They get that aggression coming out from all the team, or from all those, really core abilities. Wild Soul just hit level 5. So once they start grouping up as a team and have those good spells, I actually think they're going to start to shine. But Pika's giving them a run for their money. I mean, they're doing exactly what they need to do. The score is already 5-0, 6 minutes in.
Yeah, the goal per minute chart really explains a lot. I mean, as you mentioned, Hammerstorm, fantastic game so far for Pikachu, as he is sitting at 327 goal per minute, but it just goes off completely from there. Polywog Priest next closest at 150, and then Wild Soul just not having a good start whatsoever, at least when it comes to goal per minute. And then you got the Hellborn side. It's a lot more even when it comes to falling off. Forsaken Archer just under Hammerstorm. And then you got your Parasite Moraxis and even Demented Shaman not doing too shabby. Also, another big note, Aluna is still level 2. Engineer just barely hit level 3. They are completely under-leveled because of a lot of the roaming they've been doing. You see Parasite right there. He took up the Minotaur. He even throws out a stun and then runs away real quickly. Now, they are going to roam to the middle lane, and they should know this. You see Forsaken Archer, instead of going up the ramp, very smartly cuts down the bottom of the river and will survive because of that. So Tankafet, he switched at the last second. You can tell he was thinking about it. But he just switches at the last second, he's going to be fine. But again, going back to Luna still being level 2, if she was level 3, Piercing Arrow is even going to be used right there. I don't know if that's a misclick or really just to keep the push off a little bit, but whatever the case, we'll have to wait for a cooldown on that. But if she was level 3, she would have gotten that kill on a Parasite, remember, with that power throw. But again, still even now, level 2. So minimal damage and effectiveness going to be coming out from her, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to the beginning. Normally, I don't like the supports roaming until they can get a for sure kill. Now, I mean, I'm talking about the top lane specifically for Legion. They could have easily got kills on Diminished Shaman. They could have dove him. They could have done whatever. I mean, Diminished Shaman is so susceptible to ganks early on. He couldn't even get into range for experience. So They did force him into the jungle for a little bit, but I would have liked to see them actually get maybe 1 or 2 kills on Demented Shaman before actually roaming to the middle lane.
Look at this though. All 4 are top here are at the top lane from ORGE Esports, so they're clearly making a push right here. Wards come down, in fact, for Polywog Priest, and the ultimate activated in the brute strength from Hammerstorm. So a very aggressive tower push happening right here already from the Legion team, and they're going to get it. So it will pay off in the end, as trying to cut that gold deficit just a little bit right there. Now the middle lane is also being counter pushed in the meantime by Glacius and Forsaken Archer. So 2 players doing what 4 players did at the top lane, and they get it. You see, Boo Boo was right here, maybe trying to deny it, but not able to do so. So really, I mean, was that worth it for ORGE Esports? I don't know if it was.
Definitely not. When you can accomplish something and with 2 heroes when the other team's doing with 4, obviously you're using less resources, and you're able to farm different parts of the map right now. You get tower kill with 2 in the mid, you got a farmer top, you got pushing and farming coming out in the bottom lane. They're going to get this tower down here unless they decide to port, and I don't think they're going to, so that's going to be 2 towers for 1 as well as other heroes on your map for Hellborn farming. Right now, nothing happened. Just about, a minute and a half ago I said it was 5-0 lead and 2K gold, or 3K gold, 2K experience. Now it's 6K gold, 4,300 experience deficit for ORGE Esports, so that was really, really, really good for Team PIKA.
Yeah, I'm trying to, get an understanding of really what ORGE Esports was thinking right there, whether it's just pure desperation. Again, piercing arrows used here in the middle lane. Forsaken Archer is just really passionate about keeping them off the tower. I mean, it's working, but not often you see the ability used in that way, especially early on in the game. But what do you make of it? Is that being effective, or is that just kind of silly?
I mean, it's getting the job done, isn't it? So I
guess.
I guess it's okay, but they're still going to pursue this. Now using the Void. The ultimate comes out from Hammerstorm, but wards are still on cooldown for 17 more seconds. Boo Boo is pounding on the tower. He does have it level 3 smartly, so he's going to do a lot more damage to the tower than he would if he did not have that. So they will get the tower down. It's going to give him a little bit gold boost, but still other teams or other heroes on the Hellborn team are farming opposite sides of the map. And actually, Demented Shaman is getting this tower in the bottom quite low just by himself by spamming that heal ability. It's actually only level 2. Well, that's really interesting. He actually decided to level up. Actually, some action coming here. Parasite uses the ultimate on Polywog. The turret comes out from Engineer, and actually some do-si-doing going around, but Demented Shaman will TP back, and Parasite will get the hell out of dodge. So, yeah, kind of interesting there. But, yeah, Demented Shaman has a level 4 Entangle there. That's very interesting considering the fact that it doesn't really do anything except add 50 more damage from level 3 to 4. So normally you don't see that, at least this early on. You would usually see the level 3 Entangle, maybe 1 into Cape if you decide to go the Entangle route, and then max Healing Wave. But yeah, I don't really get that. Not the biggest deal in the world by any means, but just a small note there.
You can't even argue that even getting the Storm Cloud is maybe, again, that's one of those abilities that we don't always see at level 6 by any means.
Yeah, that's one of those things I've gone back and forth with. Actually, Forsaken Archer taking out these triple stacks, finally using the ultimate to farm rather than to counter push. But some good assistance coming out from the rest of the team. It's going to be hard because these are a triple dragon stack, but he does have a double damage rune to help out. So that's going to be a huge boost in farm for him. I think a triple stack of Dragon Masters is something like, it's like 1K gold, basically. It's a lot. It's a ton of gold and experience. So when you're able to actually stack those and kill those. But Orange did get yet another tower kill using those Polywog wards. So closing the gap with gold a little bit. The experience gap is still widening in PIKA's favor.
It just seems like for Orange, I don't know if this was intended from the beginning, but it almost feels like it kind of was, because how early they just grouped up there at the top side. They're just basically trying to just go full-out aggressive, very heavy team push strategy. I mean, we got Wild Soul, we got Polywog. Hammerstorm is very effective for pushing towers with that brute strength ability, so you got to wonder a little bit if that's what Orange was actually thinking, and from what we're seeing here, it's almost as if that was the case. They still have zero hero kills, by the way, which is pretty damn crazy. We're now 12.5 minutes in. The fact that they have 0 hero kills is pretty ludicrous, but Hammerstorm does have a portal key now, so that is a big item right there for the Legion team, and that's very possibly going to be an item that sets up some hero kills for them, but the levels, the goal, I mean, it is a big disadvantage for us early on as it is in the game. And the great thing about it, too, at least for Pikachu, is that, sure, they've lost 3 towers, but they've gotten 2 themselves against ORGE Esports. So really that 1 tower being the difference. And for how many resources, as we keep going back to, that ORGE Esports is putting into pushing these towers as aggressively as they are, it's by far more beneficial for Pikachu right now when it's all said and done. So once again, though, we see our Legion team grouping up here. This time at the top side, we got Wild Soul continuing to farm the middle lane, but the rest of the team with Striders activated and everything else, you got Galvanize even being used by Hammerstorm. They are chasing big time. You see a portal key used right there from actually Moraxis to barely get away, but in comes Hammerstorm, catches Demented Shaman. This is going to be enough damage. He does have Unbreakable. There's the Luna stun. Yes, it is going to be enough damage to get the kill right there, and Hammerstorm even going to the double stacked or even triple stacked creeps and going to look to farm that up a little bit. So this, dare I say, I'm not even going to go there, but this grouping up and roaming around together strategy is working out pretty well here for ORGE Esports now.
They're closing the gap just a little bit, and like I said, this team is really one, and actually Parasite jump. Well, I didn't even see that because I was looking. I just didn't even think that he would be so ballsy to do that, but he gets taken out quite quickly. So even then, the gap closes just a little bit. 4K at each category right there. But yeah, I will say that this team really shines when they work and play team fights together, like all five of these heroes. Very, very strong team fight team. So yeah, this game is not over by any means. It's only 2-5. Very passive play actually coming out. Not very characteristic of these two teams. But I expect these team fights to be crazy and very fun to watch. And yeah, like I said, ORGE is really going to shine once they start fighting 5v5.
Now, by the way, you do have Tanka Fed on Forsaken Archer. Not only is GPM up there, 425 gold per minute.
Yeah.
She's actually getting very close to a Nullstone now, but she's also level 11, which is 2 levels higher than anyone else in the game right now, especially again compared to that Legion team. Of course, you got Wild Soul at 9, and even our own team in Demented Shaman at 9. So yeah, Forsaken Archer, again, Tanka Fed. Fantastic game for him so far for Pikachu, and going to be scary. Once again, the Nullstone route, I think it's safe to say I can assume that I know what you would like to see on Forsaken. And I agree
She's
with
not
you
exempt.
yet again. I agree with it. Against this Legion team, you would think a Shrunken Head may be the priority, but not going to happen. We do see jump though onto Luna actually, as well as Polywog Priest. Polywog Priest gets the face up from Parasite, and the final auto attack's going to do him in right there. Moraxis lets the Legion team know who he is. Unfortunately, no one really nearby to let them know who he is. So he's just going to explode right there and not do too much damage. The Legion team just porting away, and everyone else will survive. But a good pick on a Polywog Priest. Now some aggression going to come out here from Pikachu once again. The piercing arrows.
What?
This guy loves to farm with that item.
Okay,
with
that
ability.
one I don't understand at all. I mean, he could pretty much farm it just as fast by volleying and auto-attacking. So I don't know, because they would need to use that in some sort of team fight right here. He could have even used it on these Ancients right here. Yeah, it blows my mind. I don't know. But yeah, good kill there on the Polywog. He's having kind of a hard game right now. He does have Striders in the Ring of Sorcery, but only 777 life, so he will die quite quickly. Yeah, this Portal Key Moraxis is definitely proven to be very, very strong. Now tripled Ancients as he uses his Axe ability to stack them right there. Rune coming out in 1 second. There's a regen on the bottom, so he will take that. No, he's going to save that for somebody. Maybe this Parasite needs to know. He does go ahead and take that. So, yeah, very, very passive game so far by both teams. Actually, some aggression just as I say that, as he does stun the Forsaken Archer combo out coming from the rest of the team, and he will die. So it seems like they should have known that there was a ward there, because earlier, not too long ago, the Hammerstorm was blinking onto, who was that earlier? I want to say the Demented Shaman,
yeah,
who got caught off, and then Parasite kind of suicided himself afterwards. So yeah, not the greatest heads up there from Tanka Fed. And yeah, you were asking about the Nullstone, or the Nullstone right there. And yeah, still don't like it. I mean, I don't understand why. There's an Engineer, there's a Poly, there's a Hammer. Even the Nullstone, you can still use your Hammer Stun on something else and still get the stun on there. Just we're talking about that ward there. TPS Price understands for the ward there, but feels a little intimidated to try to counter it there, because he can get jumped and kind of sniped at any point in time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. Nullstone, it just feels like one of those items that so many people are doing it that it just feels like everyone's stuck in that sense of, I'm this hero, I'm Silhouette, I'm Forsaken Archer, I'm whoever. I might as well go Nullstone first item. So, but yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying, but I can see why. But, you know, this game, I think the Shrunken Head, yeah, but definitely would be the superior choice. If not even, you could argue something else. But, yeah, going the Nullstone route.
When are teams going to wake up? I mean, really, I don't mean to be rude by any means, but it's just like, that is the item to get. It does not, it seem obvious to anyone else. I mean, it's good. Look at all the targetable abilities, too. Poly has 3. Okay, Hammerstorm has 1, Aluna has 1. I mean, that's it, but that's a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I missed some action. We'll go ahead and explain
wow,
that there.
Wild Soul nearly poured it out in time as he was getting ganked right there. That would have been pretty epic, because that would have been huge. after all the resources they spent ganking it. But they do get the kill, so that's big. Now the top lane is going to be pushing in vulnerability at the last second. Energy field even going to go off, but not the greatest placement right there. And, oh, yeah, it is going to be denied. Now, if he pushed up a little bit with the energy field and it went on the outer side of the tower, then maybe it would have been effective. But so I like the idea from Engineer. Unfortunately, though, not the greatest positioning. So the tower goes down. Now, again, this is a case of, sure, it was denied, but at least the tower is dead.
Yep.
And it does make things a little bit more difficult now for Pikachu as far as map control goes. So that is a big deal. But Wild Soul did get ganked again prior to that, so that was also a good gank coming out from Pikachu. Wild Soul, by the way, going the same route as last game, despite being played by a different player this time. Shiyu last game, XSF this time around. He did go the Soul's Bulwark, and it looks like saving up now for Mako Brilliance again. So going the similar route. We'll see if he actually keeps it on Boopa this time, rather than transferring it to himself, unlike last game. But yeah, the strategy is really for Orange Esports, and I was a little bit. Obviously, I said earlier, just a lot of just grouping up and aggression. It really isn't, though. It's more grouping up, getting ganks, and happening to push towers as well, while Wild Soul farms, is what it seems like, is what Orange Esports is really going for. Because Hammerstorm, Aluna, Polywog Priest, and Engineer have just been, they're doing it again. They're grouping up here. They're going to the observatory of the Hellborn team, and they're trying to find somebody. They're going to place a very aggressive horde aside here once again. So you can tell that Orange Esports just looking for the kills. The fact that they only have 3 hero kills is the disturbing thing, though, for how aggressive they're playing.
Yeah, they're actually using a lot of resources here. 4 heroes in their ancients, or the other team's ancients, but not doing anything. While Wild Soul, he really should be pushing up the lane, not farming the creeps, because there's some counter pushing coming out from the Hellborn side. So I don't know why he's trying to farm these Wild Hunters while his team's waiting for him to push up the lane. I don't know. I don't really understand that, but Nullstone is picked up on FA. He can now successfully block the Jolt from Polywog Priest. Yay, he can block that. Yeah.
Sarcastic clap in the background.
It's my golf clap, my B-Kid golf clap.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
But, no, yeah, I don't understand the mindset right there from Wild Soul. He's farming the creeps while his team's waiting for him to push up the lane. Now, tower kill comes out for Hellborn, and now the golden experience is jumping back in their favor. 7K in each category, so that's definitely good for them, but not too big of a lead by any means. The stun comes out from Hammerstorm. Oh, Miraxis does a counter stun as well. Face hook coming out onto Aluna, but a very, very good placement from Wards as well as the energy field from both Polywog and Engineer. And actually, they do get a kill on Gordup. Hammerstorm trying to run away, but he will fall to Stroyfutter that gets the last hit with the axe there. So kind of interesting engagement there from both teams.
Yeah, it ends up being a 1-for-1. That was a big dive, but I think for Hammerstorm, he didn't think Gordup there on Parasite was going to get as far back as he did. He was able to get just behind the tower as the hammer stun hit. So, but at that point, it's like, are we going to commit to this? Clearly they did, but that was just a great reaction at the same time from Pikachu. The homecoming stones came in pretty much immediately as that stun hit, and they were able to get a counters as a result, at least the 1 counter kill. So it ended up being a 1-for-1 exchange. Again, not the worst deal in the world. Yeah, what you're saying earlier, though, again, with the whole XXF farming the jungle rather than pushing up the lane while that push up top was happening by the Hellborn team did seem pretty silly, and it seemed like it wasn't the most efficient choice right there. But back to the jungle he goes now, and obviously this makes sense as he is getting closer and closer to finishing that Sword of the High, or picking up a Sword of the High, then eventually turning that into a